So today's topic that I'm going to talk about is something that's very near and dear to my heart. It is something that has become very publicized in the past couple of years, but now has become even more publicized because of the movie that's coming out with Will Smith about concussions. And this topic is really personal to me. It's something that not only have I seen on the news through SportsCenter, through CNN, whatever the news channel might be, but it's something that I've gone through in my own life. And it's something that, to me, I don't think it gets enough press for what the problem is when it comes to football, when it comes to soccer, when it comes to any type of sport, or even not even a sport. It's something that needs to be talked about more within the community, within the world, because it's kind of a scary issue. It has to do with your brain, and that's something that we use every single day, and even at night when we're sleeping. It's something that is continuously going, and if we lose that, that's a scary, scary thought. So I really wanted to talk about this, especially seeing as how we get the movie, because it's something that needs to be discussed at a much greater level, even greater than what that movie is. Now, I'm nobody. This doesn't really mean a lot coming from me, but I feel like I am somebody that can talk a little bit about it because I have had this problem for a while now. I've had concussions. I have 5 of them that I know of that are specifically concussion related. I have 4 other instances in my life where I have been completely dazed, I've seen stars, and I don't really remember a lot about that day. So I've had head injuries. There have been a lot in my life, just like everybody else has, but it's something that has kind of changed my life pretty much for forever. There's 2 real good instances that I remember where it was really bad for me. One time, when I was really young, I was riding my bike and I was going down a hill and my bike flipped over on me and I slammed my head on a boulder and knocked myself out. Now, my buddy says I was knocked out for like 5 minutes. I don't believe that because he was like 15 at the time. I really believe I was knocked out for maybe a minute. But it took a good few days for me to actually get back to where I wasn't really woozy in the head. That was something that really hurt. But there was another one that was even worse than that. I was at work, and I was 18 years old, and I slammed my arm on a metal bar, and it hit in between the 2 nerves of my wrist. And I didn't feel anything. I thought I was completely okay at first. My boss, who was up the stairs, saw me, said, "Are you okay?" And I was going to say that I'm fine because I didn't feel anything. Now, what came out was I'm and fell completely over, knocked out. I slammed my head up against the concrete floor that I laid on, obviously. And when I came to, probably about 30 seconds later, I looked over and I saw my boss running down the stairs to make sure that I was okay. And I really didn't feel anything at the time. All I felt was, a headache. My head hurt, so it really wasn't that big of a deal to me at that point. So I just thought I was okay. I've got a little bump on the head, whatever. I'm okay. So as she's taking care of me, she sits me down, makes sure that I'm okay. My eyes are twitching a little bit from what she was telling me, but it's not something that I remember. I just remember my head hurting, and I just said, I just need to go home. My head really hurts. I think I just need to go lie down and get some sleep. I'll be okay. 2 things. This is kind of a disclaimer for anybody who has that type of head injury. If you're a kid, if you're a parent, whatever, you can tell their kids this. One thing you never want to do when you've been concussed is immediately go to sleep. I didn't know that at the time. I wasn't educated on it. You don't ever want to go to sleep. The second thing, and this is something that I did because I'm a dumb 18-year-old kid, was I drove home. I was completely concussed. I didn't know that I was concussed. I just thought I had a headache. It was a little woozy. But I drove home. It's a half hour from work to my house. You don't ever, 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 ever want to drive home when you are in that kind of a state. You want to keep yourself seated. You want to make sure you're okay. If you can get somebody to drive you to the hospital, fantastic. If not, call an ambulance and make sure you're okay before you go home. Period. It was dumb on my part to do anything like that, but I did it because I'm an 18-year-old kid and I didn't know what the heck I was doing at that point. So as I'm driving home, I'm feeling fine, and about 20 minutes into the drive, I start feeling a little bit shaky. I start feeling a little bit more woozy. 25 minutes into the drive, so I got about 5 minutes left, I start seeing the exit signs come by, and they are just blurry as heck at this point. So I'm just praying to God that within 5 minutes I can just get home, I can be okay. Luckily for me and everybody out on the road, I made it home fine, nothing happened. Still one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life. Anyway, so I get home, finally relax, the adrenaline kind of starts to die away. As that's going away, the entire world is spinning. And this is something I've never felt. I've been hammered before, and I've been pretty drunk before, where the room is kind of spinning just a little bit. No. This was like the world was spinning a million miles a second. It was flying. I couldn't stand. I was hobbling to the bathroom, and I just started throwing up. My dad gets home after he gets a call from my boss saying he hit his head, you need to check on him. He got home, saw me throwing up, asked me if I was okay. And I said, or at least I thought I did, that I'm fine. I just hit my head on the floor. I have a little bit of a headache. I'm a little woozy. I'm throwing up right now, but I think I'm going to be okay. That's what my brain told me that I said. I heard all of that. What actually came out of my mouth was nothing but jargon. I was speaking in tongues. And I don't think I've ever seen my dad that scared about anything. And I've had a nail through my foot, and he just kind of laughed, picked me up, and brought me to the emergency room. When I started speaking in tongues, and I didn't know it, he got scared and immediately put me in the car and took me to the hospital. Now, when I got to the hospital, they took me in, they checked me out. I think they gave me some aspirin or whatever to get rid of the pain or whatever. And then they lie me down. So the doctor comes back in. Dad asks me if I'm okay. Dad asks the doctor if I'm okay. The doctor goes, yeah, he's just sleeping. I wasn't sleeping. I couldn't open my eyes anymore. So I'm in a hospital room. I can hear my dad, I can hear the nurse, I can hear the doctor. I can hear all three of them talking about how I'm asleep and I'm okay. I wasn't asleep. I could not physically open my eyes. That's how bad of a head injury I got. Pretty scary at the time. But it just goes again to the power of any type of brain injury. It can really mess with you. The doctor thinks I'm fine. Doctor says he's just got a concussion. It's a good one. It was, I believe he said severe. I don't know, could have been mild. Whatever he thought it was. He thought I was perfectly fine. He actually thought I was doing drugs, but I was actually working. He actually asked my dad, has your son taken any sort of drugs? No, because he knows, and now you guys will know, I've never taken a drug in my life. I do not do them. If anybody else wants to do them, that's fine, that's their own business. I take a lot of pride in the fact that I've never taken a drug in my life. You know, I've taken a couple of puffs out of a cigarette, I've drank, I don't do marijuana, coke, I don't do any of that stuff. I take pride in that fact because there's a lot of that goes around. I take pride in the fact that I never did it. So for a doctor who thinks I just fell because I was on drugs, kind of pissed me off. And he didn't do his job to really check up on me because he said my brain was completely fine and that I was okay. Here's the problem with that. It's been almost 11 years since that happened. And since that time, nothing really crazy has gone on in my life. But ever since that day, every single day, for almost the past 11 years, I have had moments of great depression and sadness. That's not something that I had the first 18 years of my life. Now, it could be environment, it could be whatever, but the head injury has made it so that every single day I have a moment or two where I feel sad. And it's not like, oh no, I just feel sad. No. I'll be working and I'll have my mind on work, or I'll be home and I'll be playing with my son, or, you know, having fun with my wife, doing whatever it is that we're doing, and then all of a sudden something pops into my head. And it's some of the craziest stuff. It could be the car accident that I had. It could be the head injury that I had. It could be my vision, or not a vision, but a thought of my son falling and getting hurt for no real reason whatsoever. And I get sad. Or it'll be something like my self-esteem has just plummeted for some inescapable reason and I can't fix it. And I at least have 2 days every single week where I just feel sad and depressed for no reason whatsoever. I have no reason for it. And it's just a crazy thing to think that somebody thought my brain was okay and now all of a sudden that's happening. Another thing that happened after that, and this one's really weird and I can't ever figure out why this is, but people who wear, this is kind of funny, but people who wear horizontal polos, like with the stripes, like if they're wearing like a navy with like white stripes that go throughout, I can't look at them. I can't. It actually makes, when I look at them, the lines on their shirt, the white lines, they wave. It's the craziest thing ever. I can't look at them. I physically feel sick after I look at them. And I never had that problem until I hit my head. It's just kind of a crazy, weird thing that has happened. It's completely altered some of the things that I think, some of the things that I feel, my attitude. I haven't been as happy ever since I took a blow to the head, and that's just a crazy thing. And it's really scary to think that if you hit your head either hard enough or repeatedly enough, that it can change you. It can change how a person acts and how a person feels. So I understand to a point what other people are saying when they say somehow something changed. You know, did you play a high contact sport? Have you been in accidents? Yes, that could be why. You need to get yourself checked out, which is something I never really did. But that's something that I'm trying to amend now because of the fact that I now have a son that I don't want that to happen to. And I want him to be more educated on what's going on. But until I can get myself educated, I can't really educate him. So I'm hoping and praying that this movie, or many more discussions about this specific topic, will bring out more information that we just don't know about yet. Because parents have an important decision to make when it comes to their children now. Now that this whole thing has come out about concussions, do we really want our kids to play sports? Do we really want them to play football or even soccer, which now that they've gotten rid of the headers, isn't going to be that big of a problem anymore. To me, when it comes to my son, I'm going to let him make a choice. And this is just me. You can think however you want about my parenting. That's fine. I'm going to give him as much information as I possibly can about injuries, about health, about whatever it is that I can give him to give him an informed decision on what he wants to do. If he wants to play sports, that's completely fine. We need sports because it's going to keep our kids healthier. And that's what we need. We need the kids to be healthier because nowadays, a lot of times they're not. They're eating unhealthy, they're not working out, they're not doing what they need to do to keep themselves going. But if he wants to play football, I'm going to let that be his choice. But he's going to understand the consequences of that action. So, I hope and I pray that all the other parents do the same. I don't want anybody to stop their kids from playing sports because they're afraid. They have to be informed. The kids have to be informed on what's going on with their own bodies and their own minds. Because again, this is a scary, scary thing to deal with. If I were to get cancer, that's one thing. I'm doing everything I can to prevent it. It's happening. That's fine. But if I lose my mind, if everything else about me is fine, but I start to lose my mind because of head injuries, to me, that's the scariest thing possible. And I don't know what I can do right now to stop it. So I'm trying to get myself more informed, and I hope that everybody else gets themselves more informed about this, because a lot of people don't really think about it. They think more about the diseases of cancer, of AIDS, of whatever it might be, which those are extremely high topics that we need to find cures for. But don't push head injuries to the side. This is something that needs to be discussed. It's something that needs to be discussed every single day, and it's something that we need to solve, or at least prevent, to a higher degree than what we're doing now. Because right now, we're obviously not doing enough. And our doctors need to be more informed. We need more research into this. Because if there's a way for us to limit all the head injuries, with the exception of kids being kids, then we need to figure out what that is. And we gotta fix that. We gotta be able to figure out what we can do to make our kids better. They can still be kids. Especially boys. They all run around, they all bonk their heads, they're all crazy. I know I was, and I know my son will be when he reaches that age. But if there's a way for us to limit brain injuries, let's do it. Let's figure this out, because it's very, very important. So if you're like me, or worse than me, because there's a lot of people who are way worse than me, so don't think I'm trying to throw a pity party on. It's not what I'm trying to do. There's a lot of people who are way worse off than I am, who are going through a bigger problem than what I've been going through. But if you are one of those people, and you've seen the news about football players having CTE and getting so depressed that they end up shooting themselves, they end up killing themselves, which is a very sad thing. Don't think that there's no hope, because there is. Because somebody like Junior Seau gave his brain to the two people to make sure that something like this doesn't happen to anybody else. He knew what he was going through, and he knew that there was a way that you could fight it. But the only way that you can fight it is through people actually looking into somebody's brain and trying to fix the problem at that point. I want you guys to know that there are people out there who love you and who care about you, no matter what you think in this world. Because I have those thoughts as well. And there's a lot of people who are going to have those thoughts, whether it be because of head injury or whatever. You have a family that loves you. Me, I know I have a family who loves me, and that's what keeps me going. And I hope that will keep all of you people going. Because the fact of the matter is, no matter how down you are, no matter how much you think that they're not going to be there for you, they will be. If you let them. You have to let them help you. Because if not, you're just going to go down into this black hole of sorrow and despair, and you don't deserve that. You don't. So help yourself by letting them help you. Whether it be letting your family help you, whether it be going to a shrink, whatever it might be. There's always a way to help yourself. There are no easy way out. I hope that this enlightens people. I hope that this helps people, because I want everybody to know that we're all here for each other. That's what we're here for, is to help each other. We're here to also have a great life and to have a fantastic life. We have friends, we all have family that will help us along the way to give us a better life. So let yourself laugh. Let yourself love. Don't hold on to the hate and the sadness and the craziness that goes on in your head, because sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it. But you can counteract it by doing great things, by doing happy things, by spending time with your family. Even though sometimes they'll drive you nuts, they're going to let you know that they love you and that they really do care about you. I'm sorry this took such a dark and depressing turn. It's not something that I overtly intended, but I feel like that this is a topic that needs to stay alive. And if we keep it alive, then it won't be ignored. And if it won't be ignored, then it will help people. And that's what we really need. We need people to be helped, and sometimes to be saved. This is something that can't go away. We have to figure this out no matter what. So I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys were informed. Please leave a comment, like it, dislike it, whatever you do. Just listen, I guess, because again, it's very important. And don't just listen to me, because again, I'm nobody. That's why it's called Rent Time with No One. I'm nobody special. I never claimed to be. I never will claim to be. But I'm hoping that this will make you turn to CNN or ESPN or any sort of internet, online, Google search information, whatever it might be. If I can just turn one person into looking into it, then they can tell their friends, and then it can just expand from there. And that's really all that I want. I want people to understand that this is something that's very important. And I cannot stress it enough, even though I have done that about 15 times in this entire movie, or video, whatever you want to call it. But other than that, I promise the next one will be much more lighthearted. It'll be a lot more fun. I will see you guys on Monday. Other than that, stay alive, stay healthy, stay happy, and have a great new year.